to just go ahead and dive in and start explaining that concept, Jonathan.
That's a big part of how Wall Street's been running us into a ditch for the last 30 years.
The debt ceiling is not some sort of macroeconomic concept.
The U.S. isn't really a great place, and it's not really the land of the free.
Get 1,000 people together and let's go lay siege to City Hall.
I am very thrilled to be back here with Erik Kestner of Yellow Vest Actions for Real Progressives. Erik, thanks as always for taking the time to update us on your activities there in DC.
No problem, Luke. I love your show. It's just fantastic. The episode yesterday with Lee Camp was just another dynamite segment, and I just appreciate what you're doing. I hope everybody appreciates what you're doing so much, because you're just such a pro, dude, and we're so happy to. I'm just glad that you're my colleague, man. I don't know what to say.
Well, you're far too kind, Erik. You're far too kind. Lee was wonderful, and you know, I'm thrilled to be working with you. You're the one actually out there on the ground that's fighting for this stuff, and we couldn't be more proud to have you be part of RP. Can you just first, I want to point the audience to your Patreon here. I'm going to put it up on the screen. Patreon.com/YellowVestAction if you'd like to help Erik out and help get engaged with some of the things he's doing in DC. And I also want to encourage the audience, if you are in the DC area, if you want to travel to the DC area, if you know anyone in the DC area who might be interested in getting involved with some of this organizing and the actions that Erik is taking part in, please reach out to Erik's Twitter. He is at Vest Actions on Twitter. Make sure you're also following him on Twitter at Vest Actions on Twitter. Erik, can you just talk a little bit about what you've been up to here recently?
Yeah, well, just on that DC note, if there is anybody in the DC area, this next week I'm going to be doing pinpoint protests out in front of Lobbyist Central at the Starbucks on the corner of Independence and C Street. And that's where all the scumbags hang out, and they pitch their buddies and they pitch our representatives, and they're all slick and slimy, and they have no shame whatsoever. And I fucking hate them because they're killing people. So
yes, they are.
I've got some excellent signs that I've made today. Big, you can see them from a half a block away. They really pop, lots of color. One of them says, it was Steve Grumbine's idea for this sign. It says, "Austerity is murder and lobbyists are the killers." So I can't wait to hold that sign in front of them at their little Starbucks courtyard where they do their disgusting work. And the other side of that sign says, "Are we really going to let a bunch of greedy, selfish fools do in this whole world?" Anyway, I picked that up off the internet somewhere. I forget where, but that's a good one too. But anyway, I've got some great signs. Medicare for All signs, Unite the Working Class signs. I got MMT signs. You know, I got Green New Deal signs. Whatever sign you want to carry, I got it. And free vests. I'll even buy you fuckers lunch. Okay, so come on down to DC and let's do this. You know, these lobbyists, they're the ones that are fucking us. Okay.
Yep.
And you know, our prostitute representatives, I guess they just can't help themselves because they need reelected every 2 years, or you know, and they just got to keep working at that instead of helping us. So yep. Let's get right to the problem. We're right there on the corner of Independence and C Street, and let's fuck these guys over, scare them away. We'll have to go find a new hangout, and then we'll go there too. So you know, we can do this. We can absolutely do this. As far as other stuff that's been going on, let's see. Yesterday I talked to Chairman John Yarmouth on the phone for about 25 minutes.
For those who don't know, John Yarmouth is a representative in Congress. He's actually retiring, but he's a longtime representative, and he is the chairman of the House Budget Committee. So huge deal there for Erik to get to speak with him. I didn't mean to cut you off. How did that conversation go?
Oh, it went really well. We're right on the same wavelength, of course. He's a MMT person. And, you know, John Yarmouth, if anybody doesn't know, the Democrat out of Kentucky who sits opposite Mitch McConnell, he went on C-SPAN several months ago, and he actually started talking about modern monetary theory, said the words, held up Stephen's book, talked about the difference between a household budget, you know, that all of us are on, and that states are on, and that, you know, cities are on, like everybody else is on, except for the federal government. They're not in that position. They're not on a household budget. Anyway, we're on the same wavelength there, and John Yarmouth did a great job on C-SPAN. I think that was the first time ever on record that a congressperson and thank God it was the chairman of the budget committee, because we know that we've got a lot of Congress people that aren't too brilliant, but he is not one of them. He is an amazing mind. So anyway, it was great to see him and talk to him yesterday, and basically we talked about who is going to champion MMT in his absence, after he retires. And he gave us a couple ideas, and one of them was Ro Khanna. And then coincidentally, I ran into Ro Khanna at that Starbucks that I was just talking about. The good guys go there too. It's the closest place for coffee, so it's just the place to go. Those
Seems
guys
to be like the
seeing
legislator's second home, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sure is. But I ran into Ro Khanna and asked him the same question, because we were actually talking about maybe it being Ro Khanna being the person that champions MMT after John leaves. And Ro Khanna says, "Oh yeah, but you know who's really been talking about MMT and won't shut up about it is a guy named Brandon Boyle, a Democrat out of Pennsylvania. So I need to get onto his scheduler's roster and get an appointment with him. These representatives, they're not seeing people in person because of COVID stuff, but they'll still make appointments on the phone, and we can talk to them and let them know how we feel and what we want and collaborate with them. John Yarmouth said he would love to collaborate with Real Progressives and myself. And he'd love to come back on Macro and Cheese for another episode. And he's just the coolest guy. And Ro Khanna was awfully gracious too. This guy has always got a phone in his ear, right? And I've seen him a couple times out there. Just had the courage to approach him yesterday, but I hadn't before. But anyway, the times that I've seen him out there, he's just talking to his constituents on the phone. I can stand within earshot of him, 20, 25 feet away, and hear what he's talking about. He's talking about policy. He's not fucking around, okay? And I know that he kind of went the other way when it came time for.
Oh, sure. There have been times where I thought he was too weak, or he didn't take the right strategy, or what have you, just like any other representative. But
But his heart's in it, and he's not co-opted by big pharma or big insurance or big oil or big ag or big anything. He's his own man, and I really admire what I've seen, which is actually very random takes, right, that I've visualized with my own two eyes and seen him talking about policy each time that I've seen him. So that's really impressive. Let's see what else is going on.
He's also just on the Ro Khanna thing really quickly. He I believe he's the whip of the Progressive Caucus in the House. That gives him quite a platform. I mean, he is on media outlets a lot more than your average representative. So we should definitely be working on him to be a vocal supporter of MMT because he's both a young representative and he's also got more of perhaps a media presence than a lot of the others.
Yeah, and he was on the budget committee. He used to be. So he's not anymore, but. I mean, he knows his shit, man. So he's a brilliant mind. So it was great talking to him. And then I might have mentioned to you that I've got Kshama Sawant reading The Deficit Myth. So she's learning some MMT. Let's see.
As a Seattleite, I am particularly proud of that one. That's fantastic stuff.
Oh yeah, I should explain that. She's a Seattle City Councilwoman, and she was the backbone. Her group. Socialist Alternative was the backbone behind the fight for $15 an hour, and she is she recently won a recall election. The citizenry put her back into position. It was at risk for a while because of the right wing, but Seattle firmly voted for her, and she's an excellent advocate for the working class. I don't know if you know this about Kshama Sawant, but she takes $40,000 a year home, and she donates the rest. She is a fighter, man. I mean, that takes some serious chutzpah. I mean, I can't even imagine giving away I don't know how many thousands of dollars it is, but she literally gives that away to good causes. And
Well, and to deal with the blowback she gets, bipartisan blowback, like you just mentioned the recall, it was not just Republicans that were trying to recall her. So 100%, she's a fighter. She's a real one. She's on our side. I'm thrilled to hear she's learning a bit of MMT. That's excellent news.
Yep. So let's see what else is going on. I made a video yesterday on. I haven't put it together yet, but I made a whole bunch of pieces of a video to have assembled, so I can have one great video about activism on the cheap, about traveling on the cheap, and the right kind of car to get. It's a good gas mileage, like a minivan, a station wagon, something you can stay in and save a whole bunch of money, so you don't have to pay for hotels. There's a lot of folks out there that are thinking, God, I'd love to do that, but I just can't.
Right.
I'd love to do what you're doing, but I just can't. Well, I tell you what, it's a hell of a lot easier when you sell your Mustang piece of shit and you get an old Volvo wagon for a couple $1,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
That you can sleep in, that'll fit a full-size bed, or you get an old Dodge Caravan, or some old station wagon, something that's economical. You can stay in it. I show people how I make my own meals, how I have cut down on all expenses. I'm doing this on about $15 a day. That includes food, coffee, and gas. So I'm doing this on $15 a day, and you can do it too. All you need is a little bit of time to soak at this, and I guarantee you that you won't be laying on your deathbed thinking, God, I should have done more. This feels really good to be out here. DC is the place for activists, man. It really is. There's a protest like every day, almost every day, in front of the White House. You meet the most wonderful people here. DC has, like, they're the worst drivers, but I swear to God, they're the most wonderful fucking people. You know what I mean? And I think they're probably the worst drivers.
I've been to DC a few times, and you are damn right about the drivers. I have an aunt and uncle that live there. I visited a few times. The drivers are horrific. It is absolutely awful.
Theory.
Yeah,
I have a theory. That is that the reason that the drivers are so impatient and awful is because the roads suck so.
Oh, they're
entirely.
awful. Yeah.
They suck ass so entirely. And why isn't anything being done about it? I'm sure everybody's wondering, and so they're laying on their horn every 5 seconds. And, the horn in Washington D.C. is the most used form of communication for sure.
Well, you got to utilize that with your picket signs, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, it's a great place to be for people that want to really do it, and come out and make a difference. And I was thinking there. I'm really so stoked right now, if you can't tell. But after the first week here, I was like, geez, I don't know. I don't know if one guy can really make a difference. I'm just a dude with a sign, and people are honking at me. Yeah, but I don't know if I can make a difference or not. But like a couple days ago, this guy comes. I was handing out MMT postcards. Those ones that we have with progressives. I was handing those out with my signs. I was in front of Starbucks, and a guy says, "Oh yeah, hey man, thanks. Yeah, I think I honked at you the other day. I really dig what you're doing. Thanks what you're doing." And every once in a while, something happens and it makes you think, oh, well, it's kind of a small world. Maybe we really could do this, Yeah. So I think that, it's going to take a whole village, anybody that's trying to come down here and making a name for themselves, that's not what I'm up to. I don't need to make a name for myself. I'm not trying to be, all I want to do is do what I can. And I hope that others are encouraged to come down and find a way to get it done. There's a lot of people that aren't working right now, right? And they're just like, fuck this, fuck your labor shortage. This is a wage shortage. This is a benefit shortage. I'd fucking come back to work if you had anything decent to fucking offer, right?
Yep.
That's the real problem. And so, if that's you, and you've got a car that you can sell for thousands of dollars and get an old beater that's something that runs good, but like an old Volvo wagon or something. Honestly, it's not a big ask of yourself of your budget to to make it happen. You can make it happen a lot cheaper than people think. You know, I got a $20 membership at Gold's Gym, right? And so I got my showers, I got my stationary bike that I'm on, and getting ready for my revolution, you know. And so I'm doing it, man. And anybody else, if I can do it, anybody can do it. I'm not that smart of a guy. You know,
I beg to differ on that one. I will cut you off there. I beg to differ on that one. I saw on your point about wages, Erik. I saw, you know, we've talked a lot about inflation and some of the oversimplification and misnomers about inflation at RP, but there was a great post the other day that said when prices are all going up except for your wage, you should start to question the system that you're existing within. Corporations get to price gouge and rake in record profits while refusing to give out any sort of decent wage or raise to the people who have to deal with those price increases. You mentioned you're doing this on the cheap, Erik, but what could people do to enhance your situation? What are the kinds of things outside of just bodies and donations? I know for a while you were looking for maybe a spot that you could kind of set up as headquarters for organizers, things like that. What can people do if they have resources in DC to help you out?
That would be great if we got a grant or something like that. If there's any grant writers out there that believe in direct actions and in DC. Where the eyes and the ears are to help, you know. You go to your broke state, you're not helping the situation. They just don't have the fucking money, okay? But you know, the federal government has more money than God, right? And they can keep, you know, as long as it's targeted spending and it's not, you know, as long as it's discretionary, we can spend on whatever the people need. So that is important. Let's see, where was I going with that, Luke?
Maybe a place for you to kind of set up shop.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm really
you're
sorry.
Good.
But yeah, down the road, if we got a grant or something like that, I'd love to go in on a commercial space or retail space. There's a ton of it available out here. The virus really sucked a lot of businesses, and a lot of places closed their doors. Right on main streets too. I mean, and not just businesses, but churches. There's a lot of facilities available. We don't really need anything fancy. If we could get, you know, several other orgs, you know, connect some dots, you know, get like I don't know, a Greenpeace and Sunrise and Our Revolution, you know, whatever. If we could get a bunch of people all chipping in on rent, it might be quite affordable. Then we'd have a place to network, a dry place and a warm place for people to bring their gear. We could host outside this. We could host activists so they don't necessarily have to get a station wagon or whatever. You know, we could you know, to live in, and we could do some serious networking. You know, if we had actions, people could leave their gear there, so it was safe. We could make signs there. Like I say, we could network group to group to group. All we would really need is dry space that had heat and a bathroom and electricity, and that's it. That's all we need. We could work out the rest.
Or some sort of, you know, just a simple little.
We could work out the rest. We could get, you know, air mattresses and, you know, office dividers, you know, and whatever we needed to do. But something like that is floating around in my head. I'd love to get a co-op going, an activist co-op going, right in a nice location down here. You know, that would be really, really cool if we could do that down the road.
And if you were able to get something like that and get some other organizers and volunteers and things, you know, working with you, maybe some other groups involved in some of the actions that you're taking, what are the big picture things that you'd like to see yourself, you know, achieving here in the next handful of months or through the spring and summer? What kind of big picture agenda items do you have for your trip there?
Yeah. Well, as far as big picture goes, I see that farther out than just the next few months. I see that because I'm only here until the end of the school year, because my 13-year-old, when he's out of school, come the end of the school year, we're gonna. I've been away a long time. I'll have been away for a long time by then. So I promised him that we're gonna go on a West Coast skateboard park tour again, like we did last summer. And he can go to skateboard camp and stuff like that. So I'm gonna be gone for about however long his summer lasts, 2.5 months, I think, and then I'm gonna come back. But hopefully by then, by summertime, there'll be other people that can hold down the fort, that can keep actions going. You know, if anybody wants to come down, I got more than enough. I mean, right now, I've got more than enough signs and vests and snacks and water and all that shit that we need to do some really cool protesting right in some really, really pinpointed areas where we could really chase out some dastardly motherfuckers that really just need harassed until lobbying is just like the worst possible job you could have. You know, it just drove people nuts.
I think that phrase right there, Eric, that needs to be on a sign. Dastardly motherfuckers. That's just fantastic. There's something about that that rings really great. Honk for these dastardly motherfuckers. Well, Eric, it's been great to talk to you again. I hope we can make a habit of doing this every week. Really want to encourage everybody. Go to Eric's Patreon, patreon.com/yellowvestaction. Follow Erik on Twitter @vestactions. Reach out if you're in the DC area. If you want to get involved in any capacity to help out Erik in his actions there. Real Progressives as well. Absolutely. realprogressives.org. We have all sorts of educational content on MMT and why the federal financing matters and how to actually implement Medicare for all in the most robust and comprehensive form. Erik, just huge thanks for everything that you're doing and for taking the time to be here. You keep an eye out to the audience as well for Erik's video on how to go about cheap organizing and cheap activism. And just thank you so much. We'll look forward to talking again next week.
Love you, brother.
Love you too, Erik.